Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to our 9-part series on ecology, not theology, exploration of the ecological teachings of the Gospel of St. Matthew. In this 9-part series, we're on day 7.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Day 7.
Wow.
And we've been looking at the parables of Yeshua, and our principle has been to look at them, not to turn them into metaphors, but to look at them as metaphors, which means that you want to explore the thing they're describing and see what it is,
Right.
rather than turn it into something else.
Yeah.
So we've looked at seeds and fields and weeds and mustard seeds and rising bread and
Treasure, hidden treasure.
and a field. And today we leave the ecological world of growing things and find ourselves with a merchant, a tradesman, a mercantile traveler.
Yeah, a person who deals specifically in pearls.
The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant
Seeking beautiful pearls.
who, when he had found one pearl of great price,
Sold all that he had and bought it.
sold all that he had and bought it. I remember when I first heard this. Clark and I aren't very good with money, but I remember thinking, is that a good business practice?
Right.
Because I don't think that's what they tell you to do on Wall Street. No. On Wall Street, what they tell you to do is buy low, sell high. You don't buy high with everything you've got.
You end up with just one thing.
And
right?
end up with one thing. And there's even the intimation in this parable. Well, let's look at it. Let's look at it, because it is a very
strange parable. And again, as always, let's start and look at what the church says about these parables, because you can count on the church to serve its own interests with these teachings and to interpret it in light of institutional solvency. Right? What it says is that a good Christian is supposed to give away or sell everything they've got to purchase the gospel message or the kingdom of heaven, right?
Give your money to the church. Give your tithing.
Yeah, give up everything for be willing to sacrifice everything you've got, to give everything you've got for the sake of being a member in good standing of this religious fold.
But let's go back to pearls.
Yeah.
Let's go to this merchant. So to be a successful merchant, he's seeking beautiful pearls because he's going to sell them.
Right.
And then with the money he gets from selling them, he's going to buy more pearls that he's going to buy and that he's going to sell. And we buy and sell and buy and sell. And
the point is money, right? I mean, the point of doing all of this for the average merchant is money. That's what they're motivated
And they
by.
may have a certain love of fine wines and art, but we're going to buy art and then we're going to sell this and, we're going to move things around. If we sell everything we've got, we're not going to be able to buy anything else, and the game is over.
Yeah.
This is the most anti-capitalist, anti-mercantile parable there is.
Yeah. Now, you have to remember that these parables were considered by Jesus' followers to be what they called hard sayings, right? So, you can bet that if you've got a very, easy sort of flip answer to these parables, you're reading them wrong. And the church's interpretations of all of these parables, right, Christianity's interpretations of them, are all slam dunks, right? Oh, this is obviously what it means. But Jesus himself says these are hard sayings. And his disciples say again and again that they don't understand them when they hear them.
How can the kingdom of heaven be a merchant? Okay, first of all, it's a merchant. We've had a lot of farmers and peasant folk there nodding
Right.
and feeling very included, and suddenly the merchants are included. But these are merchants who sold everything they've got for one pearl.
Yeah, or paid everything they've got for one pearl.
Paid everything they've got
Yeah.
for one pearl.
All of his money for one thing, right?
For one thing. And, what kind of people do that? Take everything they've got to buy one thing. It's like it's a little bit like a fairy tale, right? Remember in Jack and the Beanstalks, Jack's mother, they're starving to death, and she sends him into town
With the cow.
With the
right.
cow, and says, get money, and you're going to give the cow, and you're going to get the money, and then we're going to be able to buy food. We'll have more food to eat. And Jack goes and sells the cow
For magic beans.
for magic beans. And he sells all that they have and comes home with magic beans.
And they are magic.
And they are magic.
And they do lead to literal treasure in heaven.
Literal treasure and
Climbs up
giants
the
too. You got to
beanstalk,
feed some giants.
Yeah, there's some giants, but there's a lot of treasure.
But, you know, he brings him a handful of seeds. His mother throws them out the window, and the next thing you know, it turns out it was a good deal. And I want to tell a similar story because there is a family story. Clark and I do not have a very kind of pro-Wall Street approach
Or
to
a
life.
very sophisticated approach to fiscal solvency and
No.
profit and such things.
No, we're not very good with this stuff. So one day, and some of you know this story if you've read The Way of the Rose, but this is the truth. The story is absolutely true. One day we were very tight financially. A book Clark had thought was going to sell, did not sell, and we had run out of money.
Yeah.
And we didn't quite know where our next check was coming. And literally we were down to $100 on a credit card. And
Some spare change.
we could find around the house.
Yeah.
And I sent Clark over to the next town because it's cheaper than Woodstock, and sent him to the grocery store and said, get a gallon of milk, a dozen eggs, and a couple of bags of pasta, and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Right. We'll get by for the next
think
few
I've been
days.
doing this.
So we had 2 young children, right?
2 young children. I'll take care of the kids. You get the gallon of milk and the dozen eggs, and we'll figure this out. It's going to be okay. Clark leaves.
And I drive to the next town, and I do buy the eggs.
Oh, you did? Did you buy?
I actually did.
I always forget that part of the story.
I bought the milk and the eggs and the pasta, and I was on my way home, right? But I spent the actual hard cash we had, which did not amount to much. And as I was coming back, from Saugerties towards Woodstock, I passed a little antique store that somebody was running out of the second floor of their home. And I looked in the window, and there was a dark little lady, a little statue about this tall, right? And I saw her, and I stopped in my tracks, and I just stared. And I went in, and I went upstairs and looked at her. And, she was very, very dark. They had a lot of patina on her. And I asked, the woman running the store if they, knew anything about her. She said, well, I think she's a Madonna. Probably, made in some, statuary or factory or whatever. But I looked at her and I knew, no, this is not new. This is a very old lady. And, so I asked, how much is she? And she said, $100. We had $100 on our Amex card.
It wasn't
right?
Amex. It was a Visa card.
Or whatever.
We didn't have any. We had a Discover card.
Whatever. We had $100.
18% interest or
credit,
something.
Right. And I looked at her and I thought, if I don't buy this statue, the next time I come by, she's going to be gone. And I couldn't have explained to you why I had to spend this last little bit of money on credit that we had.
I need to explain to you, we had no idea where money was coming from in the near future. Zero.
Yeah. So I, handed her the card, and that was that, and I brought her home. And Perdita said, literally, when I walked through and she saw it and heard the story, she said, I send you off with a cow, and you come back with magic beans.
But the truth is, she was a magic bean.
Yeah.
And the truth is that...
you put her on the altar, and, that was the beginning of something.
That was the beginning of the magic in our household.
Magic.
I mean, I think I started saying the rosary a month or two later.
Yeah.
Clark started saying the rosary. I think we both...
You started leaving flowers.
I started offering flowers. I made an altar.
Yeah.
Things opened up for us. And I'm not going to say that life became easier. I'm not going to say we did not, find a giant's lair filled with treasure. But we did find her treasure. We found her. And when we found her, we found you all. Yeah. And we found everything. We found the treasure of the world.
Yeah.
Because we followed our hearts.
Right.
Now, it was a terrible... And I don't even remember how we kind of made it, but here we are. We all
We
the
did.
mortgage got paid, the kids grew up,
And the
and
same story plays itself out with the statue of Our Lady of Woodstock, which you can, see a video about on our website.
but the thing is, what do we do? What is our relationship to living in a monetary economy? It feels like it traps us. And Jesus has been outside of that monetary economy in the first of these parables. And suddenly we're inside it again. He's acknowledging it exists.
Right.
And yet, even here, we can experience the kingdom of heaven. Because the kingdom of heaven comes from our desire.
Right.
This merchant isn't just somebody who's dealing in precious gems that he buys and sells, and
Right.
he has a recognition of beauty. He has a recognition that this one pearl, he sees it. He appreciates
It's
it.
his dream.
It's his.
Yeah.
He recognizes it.
It's beauty.
And what the hell? He sells everything he has and he buys it. It
not
is
a practical investment.
It is not.
Yeah.
And it's probably the end of his career. I'm sure all his buddies go, "Oh man, that's
You
it."
paid for that. That you must have taken everything you had.
And,
You said,
and
"Yeah."
nobody's going to come just to buy their wedding ring from you anymore. Nobody is going to be, are you going to sell the pearl of great price?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's probably,
It's so precious. You could never part with it.
and it serves no purpose,
Yeah.
right? It serves no purpose to him, except,
It's his joy.
and it reminds us of the seeds, doesn't it? That here is something. I think Jesus, of all the parables, this is the parable about magic and how magic works. It's inexplicable, uneconomical power, that something arises in our heart. The merchant, this is the kingdom of heaven. You know something is I'll spend everything I've got
For this.
for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is different than going to the races and spending all your money
Right.
in the hopes that I'll
And-
win the lottery.
And it's also not like these stories we hear about, like Russian oligarchs with a taste for, fine, European paintings, who will like buy some painting, and never display it or lend it out and just keep it in their, in their dacha to appreciate. This is somebody who's spending everything, right? Not just a portion
I think
of their
he
wealth.
spends everything that he has. And the other thing is, though, he's not spending everything he has in the hopes of gaining something. He's spending everything he has on beauty.
On it for itself. For
It's
itself.
romance.
Yeah.
This parable is about romance. It's about the inexplicable joy and the kind of insane gestures we make out of love.
And by the way, just so you know, the one of the appellations oftentimes used in medieval times for Our Lady was the pearl of great price.
She's the pearl of great price. And there is another pearl of great price that all of his listeners would have known. Sitting there around the fire, there they are, the flames are flickering, the night has come, and the moon is rising in the sky. And I can almost see Jesus as a wink to them and saying, "Would you sell all you have for the moon?" Of course you would. And
For beauty,
for beauty, for love,
happiness.
joy, sell it, get rid of it, follow your bliss. I mean,
Yeah.
basically Jesus is saying, follow your bliss here. This is
Yeah.
the anti-prosperity gospel right here. He's not telling you to, how to manage your money better, how to increase your yields. Where are you going to get the best savings? No. I mean, the merchant's done. The kingdom of heaven
He's
is
come
available
out the
to
other
merchants.
side. It's like he's come out the other side of capitalism, right? It's like it's been a crazy long journey. He's like emerged. He's come through something, and you feel that very much in this parable. And
Jesus offers that possibility to all of us.
Yeah.
He says, "What is your bliss? What are you gonna spend it on? What's your pearl of great price?"
And what are you going to spend your life force on? Because what we tend to think that we work for money and we spend money, but what we really spend to get money in most modern cultures in the developed nations of the world is we spend our life force, right? We spend our life force on getting money, right? On getting prestige, on getting power, on getting all the many things that society tells us that we should want. But it's precious. If we're going to give our life force for something, it ought to be something worth having. And the merchant The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking beautiful pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, sold all that he had and bought it. So this is a person who has found, her ultimate desire, right? Ultimate heart's desire.
Yeah, and it's. I also like the muckiness of it, because I like that we've left the fields and we've come into the marketplace. We're suddenly we're in town and we're with the people buying and selling in the marketplace. We're not just. Jesus is not a purist. I mean, that's what we've seen in the preceding parables when he talks about the tares and the mustard seeds. But he brings the merchant in.
But he also brings the country into the marketplace, and he says, "All right, let's see what have you learned? What have you learned?" Right? We've talked about seeds. We've talked about the birds of the air. We've talked about the leaven. We've talked about nature. Now we're going to go into the marketplace. How do you apply that?
What do we do here with what we've learned in the market? Yeah.
And what have you learned?
But even here, the kingdom is available.
Yeah.
The kingdom is available, and that pearl is the kingdom. That beautiful, just beauty in and of itself is the kingdom.
Yeah.
And it's not a denial of beautiful. There's nothing austere in this.
No, it's a very, a pearl is a very lustrous, beautiful, sensual object.
Yeah.
Right?
And just one. Not hundreds of them, not thousands of them, not a field of pearls, not just a pearl one. That's enough. One is enough when you know what you want.
That's it.
One is enough when you know what you want.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is, everything is not enough when you don't know what you want.
Yeah.
But one is enough when you do know what you want. And it's why we talk so much about the heart's desire here, because it is the great healing wisdom.
Yeah.
It is.
I think that's it. I think this is a simple parable, and we've said what we, have to say about it.
Well, the one thing we're going to say is this: we go into the marketplace, we leave the fields and go into the marketplace, right? But where the pearls are going to take us to the seashore.
Yeah.
And we're going to arrive finally at the ocean, lapping back and forth tomorrow with tomorrow's parable, which we will do at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much, and thank you for watching.